You're listening to Musings with Morales, brought to you by Dialysis Education Services.
Welcome to Musings with Morales. I wanted to start this podcast to speak on things that are very close to my heart that often keep me up at night. I've made a career in healthcare, often taking care of people who suffer chronic illness, specifically chronic kidney disease, and had a slew of other illnesses or comorbidities. I've also seen that quite often these things are preventable. So at the moment, something that I've been musing on is really topics surrounding wellness, health, fitness, even perspective of health, and most importantly, prevention of the things that are preventable. We'll kick off the first episode with a few people that know a lot about these things. We've got Omar, Dominic, and Jonathan, all that have different lenses on these topics. So a first question for you three would be health-wise. What were some unexpected turns for you guys? Let's start with you, Jonathan.
I was never overweight, even though if you look at my BMI, my weight, because I have a lot of muscle compared to body fat, I'm considered overweight. BMI.
Yep,
BMI
right.
is out
Yep.
the window. We don't use that metric anymore.
Yep.
Right? You go based off of waist. The waist is what determines, a person if they have too much adiposity, too much fat in their stomach. So,
Like visceral type of around the
fat.
organ.
Yeah. So that's more important than the BMI. I know a lot of people focus on the weight, but weight is just one little thing to look at. But you got to look at the whole picture, the whole person. So, but it was working with the diabetes population. That's where I got my insight and realized, you know what, this is very doable, putting it into practice, but it's because I did it every day. But before, I didn't do it because I didn't talk about it, I didn't think about it, and I saw the results, I did it, and it works. Now, I can't say it works for everybody, but again, the secret was having that habit, building a habit. That habit of having, for me was, and I still do it till today, is oatmeal Monday through Friday. I still have an egg. I have egg, 2 eggs. Cholesterol was below 100. When I did my annual checkup last year, the doctor, and they told me that the years before too, are you on medication for cholesterol? I said, no. Why? Your cholesterol is like 70, 80. Are you eating? Yeah. I eat a lot. I eat 1 to 2 eggs Monday through Friday.
Yep.
Oatmeal, flaxseed. So it just comes down to just those little changes in your daily routine. And you don't have to think about it. It just becomes easy. But it was working with the patients with diabetes in Texas. What was a big pivotal change for me?
I think I mentioned it to all of us earlier that it seemed as if there's this do as I say, not as I do type of mentality among a lot of professions, right? And I got to say that personally, that thought in the profession that I've grown up in, which is, kidney failure, dialysis, treatment of chronic illness, is that if I'm doing exactly what I'm telling the patients to not to do, that it's almost irony or destiny that I'm going to end up in that chair one day. So is that kind of what you felt when you were talking to these patients that are on the road to end stage something, that now Jonathan Diaz is also on the road to that same thing? Did you feel that personal connection, or what caused you to shift?
It was more of a not hypocrisy, but I did hear a lot from patients because they always tell me, well, my doctor who's overweight told me to come talk to you. He should be talking to you, not me. So I was like, all right, cool. You have an overweight doctor telling patients what they should be doing, but they always tell me, well, look at them. They're not doing what they're telling me what they're supposed to be doing, right? It's hypocritical. And then again, the same thing with dietitians. Again, we know about food, we know the health benefits, but we don't know anything about physiology, about exercise, or what's good for us. We just exercise. So they think we know that too, and we don't. We just know about the health benefits of food. But I did get that realization talking to patients, and then of course family members, those who are now on dialysis, or those who have diabetes or have high blood pressure, which is my mom. She has it, high blood pressure. So just looking back into my family, it's genetics. It does get passed down to the children. Now it comes down to the children making those changes as we grow up. Are we getting Are we taking care of ourselves?
That's interesting. You know, you say it's passed down. I hear what you're saying there, but then we also say that it's about children making changes, and you know, specifically in your world, Dominic, with physical fitness, exercise, athletics. What are the things that we're talking about changes? You know, when Jonathan says that the children have to make changes, that may be different.
I get it. I totally
but
understand, because I'm actually part of the change. You know, when it comes to seeing some of the things that, like my dad having hypertension and certain things like that.
Yeah.
You know, and bad diets and being unhealthy during certain parts of his life. You know, she's still living right now, but seeing those things, learning from their mistakes that they made earlier on, and then now having a 19-year-old son who's a college athlete who's looking to play on a higher level, explaining and showing him what it's like to have a clean diet, why it's like to why is it important to eat these different types of foods, to intake this protein here for your muscle fibers, and why you want to work on being explosive and certain things like that. You know, so it's important to, I guess, in our community, say break those generational curses, and you know, because those things could trickle down. You know what I mean? Because it's unfortunate that it's like, okay, cool, dang, my grandma was sick from diabetes. Like, do I have to be in fear that, you know, it's gonna have to kind of pass through me and pass through my children, and then so on and so on? But I don't think so. I'm not a believer of those things. I think that, you know, we have the power to change those things. Again, we are what we eat. You know, it goes back to that. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna pull out that series up, and I'm gonna look at it, because it's a lot of things that I need to learn from there as well too. You know, every day is it's a learning curve.
You know, just to keep on this topic, and Omar, I think will definitely this will resonate. So just kind of keying in on what you said, Jonathan, of there are some things that are passed on, and there are absolute hereditary genetics, right? Autosomal dominant type of traits that are in your DNA, right? And then there are other things that, like when I hear that there's about making changes, it's really about that. Like they say, what if nothing changes, nothing changes, right?
Yeah.
Like you get the same thing, right? So I do, as mom and dad did, who are chronic illness, I also will be chronic illness, right? Then there are, like I said, there are things that are autosomal dominant, like Wagner's disease or polycystic kidney disease, things like this. That's no choice. There's no prevention, right? But what I'm hearing from you, Jonathan, is that like a big focus on turning of wellness was, you know, relation to preventable type of things, and that there are things that could be changed. And what I hear from you, Dominic, is that you are changed, and that there's a realization of the predisposition to certain conditions. So if I can kind of skew off a little bit and say where I grow up may have an influence there, right? There's the, you know, let's look in, we're in Bellflower right now, and there's probably, I don't know, I couldn't guess, but I'll try that there's probably more than 24 fast food restaurants in Bellflower, and there's probably a liquor store every block and a half,
Every corner possibly.
you know, there's some smoke shops and stuff like this. The average household income's probably less than $50,000 a year. The high school graduations are lower, and the disparity is higher in this area. So when you talk about changes, Jonathan and Dominic and Omar, like what's the real root of this pre-diabetes, diabetes, hypertension, obesity? And then I'll throw a caveat out there that there are races that actually have anomaly to the predisposition to hypertension and diabetes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So any thoughts on that, guys?
Well, let's look at cultural foods, right? Mexican food is all stars, all carbs,
Yep.
right? We don't have many dishes that have vegetables included with them. We do have like salsas with a tomato base, but everything, you go to a Mexican restaurant, you get rice and beans.
Mm.
you don't get any healthy vegetables.
Yep.
So, a lot of it has to do with those cultural diets. Now, you can say, well, Mexico has a lot of desert, so they import a lot of their vegetables. So a lot of it has to do with our culture and how we eat. And not only, like, I come from a neighborhood where right now, in a square, it's about a square mile city, Lenox. It's now it's an unincorporated part of LA called Lenox. It's now kind of been overseen by Inglewood. In a 3-block radius, you got about 24 food trucks.
Yeah.
Right now, you put like Instagram and TikTok, people, all these LA, posting all these reels about all these foods and stuff like that. You're gonna want to go try this stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Make it look good.
Yeah, because it looks good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. Besides the diet and the movement, physical activity, whether it's walking, exercising, running, it's the environment too. So all that, it's the environment. Just personal example. I work in Linwood, but I did cover another clinic in Avalon, which is like East LA area. Talking to the patients there, I say, hey, so is it feasible for you to walk 30 minutes a day? Doesn't matter how slow you walk. Use a walker. Is it possible? The answer was no. Okay, well, why is it difficult? Is it the pavement? Is it messed up? No, people get robbed.
Yeah.
Like people, like they told me they never got robbed at gunpoint.
Yeah.
So it is the environment as well. It comes down to the environment. Like, is it physically capable? Are they physically able to do that?
Yeah.
Can someone take them? So this is the dialysis realm, right? Those who are non-dialysis, if they're able to drive themselves to a safe area, would they drive that extra 2, 3, 4, 5 miles, knowing that gas is expensive? Again, another environmental factor.
Right.
Do they drive an economical car or a gas guzzling truck? So those little things is what makes us decide what we should or shouldn't do. And we don't think about the long term, right? Going to the park for 30 minutes to an hour is going to help me maybe have a few months of my life to not have prediabetes or have some kind of kidney disease or kidney damage, right? So it is definitely the environment. That's a big one.
Well, it's very hard to get dialysis patients to exercise. Because if you think about it, they're there for anywhere between 3 to 4 hours on the treatment. A lot of them feel washed out. They need a whole day to recover from that treatment. And then you'd be like, well, you need exercise. Well, I get in the chair at 4. I'm done at 8. I get home around 9.
I mean, isn't that the same? Isn't that the same for all of us, though?
Yeah.
Dialysis patient or everyday person? Because I'll just tell you. So Dominic's my personal trainer. I haven't seen him for over a year in personal training. Why? I'm strapped, so I can make excuses all day long, and so can a dialysis patient. I don't know who's in a more critical position, though, me or the dialysis patient, right? Like, hey, I'm not pre-diabetic or hypertensive right now. A dialysis patient is probably diabetic and hypertensive and has kidney failure, and their motivation for, you would think, if anybody, right, their motivation to get it together would be higher than my motivation. So isn't it the same for all of us, though? The same excuses,
that
whatever.
all stems back to the mental.
Yeah.
It really goes back to that, and one thing I look at with that is I look at skill versus will. You have a group of people who have the skill to do something, but they're just not willing to do it, versus a group of individuals who are willing to do something, but it's impossible for them to even do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just goes back to the mental. But there are a lot of excuses that are made until we have to do it, until we go to the doctor and it's like, hey, this is it. If you don't get there, then this is what you're going to be looking at in the next 6 to 12 months.
I mean, we're talking a lot about habit here. Habit as a result of environment as well. Ultimately, there's a lifestyle that's involved in a lot of illness. And the lifestyle could be the start, or it could be the prevention, or it can be the end, as Jonathan has shared with us. He's seen people who have come from prediabetes to clear as far as their slate of health. So again, no change. Nothing changes, right? And we most often find ourselves against people who have a need. So I'd like to kind of get just a brief background on each of you. In, we all are dealing with a different group within your expertise, and we'll dive into that a little bit deeper in a few minutes here. What exactly do you do that offers assistance in nutrition, that offers assistance in physical fitness, in wellness, whether it be physical or mental? What is your background? Let's start with you, Omar.
Pre-COVID, I was kind of a little bit more active because I was coaching Little League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to tell a kid to do something, but I learned that to teach an 8, 9, 10-year-old how to play the sport, you got to go out there and play it with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to. Because that's how they're going to learn. Because if you just explain it to them, they don't learn it.
Mm-hmm.
It goes out one year out the other. So I learned this, okay, I gotta put myself in their level. And I had to learn how to be a little bit more physical active. And I was like, putting a 12-hour shift, working from 2:30 to 3. Then I would have to go coach my son from like 5 to 7. Then I got to be back at work at 2:30 in the morning the next day. So it's like, I had to learn how to okay, in order for me to be better at this job, teaching them is I got to get out there and be with them. So it's like, that was a big culture shock for me, because prior to that, it was just, my physical activity was at work. Yeah. I would try to get my 12,000 steps in a day out there. Like, I was the tech that never sat down. Because, okay, I need to get my steps in because I'm not going to get them tomorrow. So I was everywhere. Like, people were like, sit down, Omar. It's like, this is downtime. I said, no, I don't got no downtime today. Like, I got to move. And that's how I was, like, keeping myself active. Like, I had to learn how to be active in order to teach my son how to play baseball, how to teach these kids how to play baseball. And that was, like, a big, because I went, like, 8 years where I was just not doing anything.
Yeah.
But that's super interesting, I think, on your physical, your personal physical awareness. Like, and this is something that resonates with me because I had kids at a very young, early age and was like doing all that, like running and, fighting, and like thought my son would never be able to beat me up. Right. that's past that now.
Mexican beat you up?
No, Jacob.
I know.
That was me. But I guess, at a certain point, like I had not a certain point. I had another child after having 3, and then like a big gap. And it was like one of my thoughts going into this, I think I was, let me see, Mason's 9, so I'm 46. So I was, 37. And I was like, man, I'm too old to have a kid. Right. And I was thinking about that scenario exactly. Like, if he wants to
38.
do something, like I'm going to be out there, like playing football at, like I'm 46 right now. Like, imagine when it's high school, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about that. I'm gonna be way too old, right? So that was one of my things. And so it challenged you individually as a father, as a human being, as a man, to kind of level up, right? But as a professional, like, how does that translate? The same thing. So what do you do right now? How does your personal perception, your knowledge base, impact the way that you're able to help people that are really at the end of the road as far as what we're talking about preventing stuff? They already missed that.
Yeah. So something I learned during the pandemic was, if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if I'm going to work already exhausted, how am I going to provide the best patient care?
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because I'm not mentally there anymore. I'm just putting them on, walking away.
So Omar, tell Jonathan and Dominic, like, what's the day in the life? Like, what does a dialysis technician do for people who have missed the mark on taking care of themselves, whether it's out of ignorance or out of ignorance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Ignorance or ignoring, right? Or it be, on the attempt to try, and just the human nature to, in some cases, fail.
Most people think we do is patient care, but we have to play multiple roles as a technician. Like, I have to learn Jonathan's job. not too in detail, because a lot of times they don't trust what they're saying, what he's saying. They don't.
Yeah, they fall
They'll be
asleep.
like, he
when he
just
comes
telling me
around, they
all
go like
these
this.
numbers.
They go to sleep.
He's
Yeah.
telling me I'm not doing this
Those are
right.
funny.
I'm not doing this right. So they question a lot of the things that Jonathan says. So I have to partially know. I have to know my role. I have to learn part of his role. I have to learn the social worker's role, because they don't. It's not that they don't trust him. It's they see us every day.
It's a trust factor.
It is.
They see Jonathan at the lab draws,
Yeah.
and Jonathan's been like, "Hey, your phosphorus is up, your potassium is up," and they're like, "Why is he always yelling at me? I understand once a month he's always yelling at me." I'm like, "Well, because he has your best interest in heart. It's just so, but what he's telling you is correct."
Yeah.
It's like, so, like in my life, it's like, dialysis is not a job. Being a technician is not a job. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. Yep.
Because not only do my children have to adjust to my role, my wife has to adjust to my role, because now she has to do things that she never did before, right? She has to accommodate me at my sleeping patterns, because
They're off.
I'm a bit by like, I try to, as much as I try to go to sleep at 7, I can't, right? I fall asleep maybe 9 o'clock. But the older I'm getting, I say, okay, I need more sleep.
Yeah.
So it's like, so it's a lifestyle for us. It's because as much as we don't want to take our job home, it comes home with us.
Yep.
Right? Like a turning point for me is learning as like, I needed to take care a little bit more of myself. Was the first time a patient crashed and I had to do CPR. And I did it for 5 minutes and I was gassed out the rest of the day. And so, okay, I need to take care of myself, because if I don't, I can't take care of these patients.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a very tough job. It's early hours, long hours. You know, I start work at 2:30. I got to get up at 1 to get myself mentally prepared for the day. Right? I got to,
Coffee in there.
yeah. Like I wasn't a coffee drinker before this.
AM?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get up at 1.
Yeah.
I'm
Most-
just going to sleep.
Yeah. Most people going to see, I'm getting up, right? Because when you go into this role, right, there's three different shifts. You got your open, your mid, and your late. The opener puts a lot of responsibility on yourself. Because if I don't get that day going, I screw up the rest of the day for everybody else. And I don't care if I screw up my partner's day gets screwed up because of me, that's fine. But the patient is a different story. Right? So it's a very hard role, because these patients are coming to me to sustain their lives.
Yeah.
Right? And if I don't continue to educate myself to something that a pivotal point for me in my career was, remember, you still use Chris Whitehurst at the VA?
Yep.
One of his former students, who was my preceptor at the VA, made me sit in a chair for 4 hours. Right? He put needles to my arm and pretended I was connected to the machine. He goes, if you can't put yourself in this chair, you're never going to understand what these patients are going through.
Yeah.
That was a pivotal point for me. And I was early in my career. I was maybe like 3 weeks into my internship at the VA.
Yeah.
And then that's when I got a big perspective. Okay, I got to do this right. I can't screw this up, because a patient's life is in my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And that's when I learned, like, okay, I got to surround myself with people who want to drive the industry forward. That's why I always kept in contact with Michael and some of these other people that I know in the industry. But it's a very hard role, because I see these patients more than I see my family.
Yeah.
And you build these connections with them. And a lot of them, like, when you lose that first patient, it changes.
Uh-huh.
Changes everything. Right? That first patient I lost in the chair was like a turning point for me. I was like, okay, this is, it got real for me, that moment. That moment, before that, I was just like, I would just go to work, I put on a patient, go on to the next one, talk to him, put him on, take him off, put him on, take him off. But then when I lost that first one, I felt like a part of me, I lost a part of myself that day.
Yeah.
Like, you know, part of me left with that patient.
That's pretty deep right there, because I feel like if I can get to their clients, when I see them, their clients, You know, when you get them their patience. But if I can just get ahead of the curve, right?
Yep.
And get to these individuals, and redirect, make sure that they have healthy movement moving forward. Then I'm over here thinking as you're talking, how can I prevent it? And I'm like, dang, part of this can possibly be my fault. Not to a certain extent, right? But it's like, damn, how can we change the things earlier on before they even get there? Because I don't think the patients that you do get, are they at a particular age, whereas it's only 50, 60 plus?
Typically older.
Typically older,
But we're starting to see a shift when we talk about the rise of chronic conditions. It's starting to shift into like the mid-age range, and I can't remember what that range was, but for people who had like end-stage kidney disease, it used to be like 65 plus, and now it's more like, I think it's like 49 to 65.
And it's getting lower now.
Yeah, and exactly. So we're starting to see that, and that's on the like the preventable side. That you're not going to stop somebody who has, you know, some sort of predisposition genetically,
right,
or hereditarily, like from having kidney disease. But the person who is in that demographic, that mom is obese, mom is diabetic, mom is hypertensive, I'm going to be obese, diabetic, and hypertensive. That can be broke.
Right.
That can be broke for sure. And I gotta agree with you, Omar, that, you know, taking care of these people on a daily and talking about daily habits and things like this. We see dialysis patients that it's like you choose your hard now or later, right? So it's hard to go to the gym. It's hard to follow the diet. It's hard to not drink Coke. It's hard to get myself to go to sleep, right? It's hard to not worry about stuff.
Yep.
You can do that now. And instead of taking the hard, you can just say, I'm going to worry, and I'm going to not sleep, and I'm going to drink the Coke, and I'm going to not exercise. That's easy.
Yep.
Right? But then you end up with Omar and Jonathan, and now the hard is, if I don't change, I die. Right? Or I decline even quicker. So now it becomes hard to do all those things, but so choose it now or choose it later, right?
Yep.
And I think that's what I'm hearing you say, Dominic, is that, like, how do I get them to choose the hard now?
Yeah, you know, which is everyone's so busy now. You know, everyone, we got things going on. We too busy to get to the gym. And the last time I checked, we still have 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
If we can't dedicate at least 45 minutes to an hour.
And now you're speaking my language, because that's exactly how I go about business. It's like there's 24 hours a day. I could have 2-3 jobs, right? So when you say it that way, that speaks very clearly to me.
You know, it's like, you know, how can we prioritize our medium and our small rocks? All right, cool. We're going to set this right here aside. It's going to probably take about 5 hours. All right, cool. That leaves me with this so much time right here. This right here, this middle rock, I'll delegate that over here. I need you to go run that errand for me. I need you to take care of this. And then that small rock that we are investing into ourselves, it's only going to take just a very little bit of a time out of a day. That's the time that we have to invest in ourselves. That's going to keep us away from here, because I felt that. What you were just saying is kind of like, it's hard to be mechanical on a type of job like that, to not take it home and to leave it there, you know. And it's the same thing even with personal training. It's hard to be mechanical to leave it there at the gym. It's always follow up. When I'm at home, I'm sending out text messages. How's your diet? What is this? Send me over your meals. I need to see breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, while I'm at home, and everything is still going on around me. You know what I mean? But it's definitely preventive. You can definitely prevent it early by just dedicating that time. Get there. We got to stop making excuses, even for myself. And a lot of times in my field, they like, let me see if he looks like a personal trainer. I don't know if I want to train with him, and you know, let me see. let's scroll through
I did that. I'll be honest.
Yeah, we all
I did that
it.
because I was like, that person's not stronger than me.
Yeah.
I don't want
At the time, I think I was stronger than Mike. After my injury, I don't know.
No, I didn't say that about you. I said that about the other few people.
But that was that's what was exactly going on at the time.
I only compromised one time with the girl in the gym that I was like, maybe I'll take her instead of. I did do that. Right?
Yeah.
So you're saying 45 minutes to an hour. Now, is there a bigger benefit for me, say, doing the 45 minutes straight, or let's say if I want to do 15 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at the end of the day? Would I get the same effect?
You could possibly get the same effect if that 30 minutes or that 45 minutes or the 15 or the 10 minutes that you're doing is if the heart rate is in the fat burning zone.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're looking to do, depending on your goals. Now, if we're looking to build muscle mass and we're looking to change the physique and gain that muscle, the 15 minutes in the morning is not going to do that. The 30 minutes after lunchtime is not going to help. And then the 10 minutes at night is not going to do it. You're going to have to dedicate that full hour to an hour and a half in the gym, working out, really putting in the work. However, you do have clients that's just kind of like, you know what, I just want to just drop a few pounds. That 15 minutes will absolutely work if it's in intervals, right? So let's just say we find a local track. We walk the curves, run the straights, get the heart rate up, bring the heart rate back down, get the heart rate back up, put us in a fat burning zone. That could help, guaranteed. So I say that anytime you're dedicating yourself to physical fitness, working out, and you have something that's consistent, it's going to help no matter what you're doing. But it depends on your goals and what you're looking to do. Like I said, if you're looking to lose weight, it's going to require more than just getting in the gym and working out, because we still got stubborn fat cells. Yeah. So we got to eat. We still got to eat healthy, and we still got to stay in the fat burning zone. So
Dominic, you're a personal physical trainer. You help people that want to maintain, get in, rehabilitate, mental rehabilitation or reparations. So two questions for you. What's that like? What's that day like in helping these sort of people? And then with your expertise, your discipline, and going back to the question of diet and exercise, like how do you mix the two to get the best win for the patient? And in the stubborn patients, like how do you still get a win?
You put out yourself.
you gotta shake them up. You gotta pull, right? So I always start off with consultations. I need to know that a client is serious. Because they go to the Instagrams and they see the type of clients that I have, and they like, ooh, I want to be a part of that. But being a part of this is going to take a lot more than just being a part of it, right? It ain't just kind of coming in. So what I usually do, I'll offer 1 or 2 complimentary sessions to see, okay, cool, like what type of client am I dealing with first? I really want to know. I want to know, like if you are an entrepreneur, if you have the 9 to 5, I need to know who I'm dealing with as an individual, because again, you have serious clients, and then you have some clients that just want to kind of be around and kind of hang out. Those clients can drag other clients down when they become friends and they start. Yep. The gym can become a social place.
Well, they say like the person, what is it? You inherit the productivity of the person around you, right?
Absolutely.
Like something like if you're sitting next to a highly productive person, you will perhaps improve your performance up to 30%, and vice versa. If you're sitting next to a lazy and an unproductive person, that you could lose 30% of your production. So you're saying that you see the same thing in training, that kind of the energy of one reflects on the next?
It possibly can. So what I'd like to do, I'll whisper in one of them ear and be like, I need you to gas out right now. I need you to push the tempo. Like if she's still on the leg extensions, I want you to go stand over there.
I have like pictures in my head which are probably not relevant to this, but I remember like competitions in the gym between people that I would not expect to be competing, right? But no, I think that you're on point there. Is that like there's that energy? There's sometimes competition. There's sometimes just at par, like wanting to keep at par. Sometimes there's inspiration from others, right?
But that's what we like to do. I always like to create a safe space for one, because most of my clients it's 98% women that I train.
How did you start with the personal training, Dominic? Like why? Like what
personal training for me. Well, one thing I've always done was I always worked out. I did Pop Warner football, ran track, high school football, college athlete, and right after high school, go to JC, university. I come back and I'm working in sales for 15 years. So after being wrongfully terminated in sales, I'm like, you know what? I'll never work for a corporation ever again. Ever again. So I happened to go to, I had a regiment where I was going to the Lakewood 24-hour fitness literally every day after work. So I'll be there at 4 o'clock. 4:01, I'm walking in, I get to my workout. So I met one of the managers there, John Sealis. And he just happened to walk up on me this one day when I was there. I don't know if I had I just got fired face on me. But he walked up on me and was just like, you ever thought about being a personal trainer? And I had to share with him what happened to me earlier that day. I'm like, man, you have no idea what just happened to me. And he was like, I shared my story with him. He said, all right, cool, great. I'm going to sign you up for this program right here, and we're going to make you a personal trainer. I'm like, you sure? He like, yeah, man, I got you. The first thing I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, damn, they're going to drug test me. I got weed in my system. Like, damn, they're going to drug test me, right? I'm like, oh, heck nah. So I'm like really nervous. So
he was like, no, we're good with that, right?
Yeah, I was kind of like, I was good with that, right?
I remember that conversation.
So,
Give me a moment.
So I shook the dice and I threw them out there and I rolled them, right? So I passed the certifications, which I was extremely nervous doing. And then when I went in and applied for the job, it was nothing. I didn't have to pay no cups or do anything like that. So I'm like, it was destined. This was meant for me to be. And again, we talked about the story. The first client I came across was Mike. What they did was they just gave me a list of people to call. And they said, this guy right here paid for his sessions over here at this place. We redirected him over here to Lakewood. Call him. And I called him. He came in. And
no, I did not come in.
I mean, eventually.
After how many times?
Eventually he came in. Eventually he ended up coming in. Long story short, Mike ended up coming in. And then I'm looking at, I'm like, I'm almost $15,000, $20,000 to this gym. And I'm looking at my paycheck. I'm like, man, when in corporate, I was making like this much money. Now I have to scale down here. I'm like, nah, something is not right.
Yeah.
I never thought that it would be like that for me, but got with my clients, talked to Mike, I talked about a few other clients, and I think at that time I had probably close to about 25 to 30 clients at 24, because I would love just walking through, having casual conversations with random people and getting them to sign up for a complimentary session, showing them the value of what training should look like, making sure they have fun while being their best, kind of putting them through a nice little sweat and getting them up out of there in a decent time. When it spoke to the manager, and I'm just like, hey, look, is there any way I can get a promotion? Like, how can I get some of that money over there? And they said, there's nothing you can do. You just got to service sessions. So I went home, talked to my wife. I said, babe, this is just what happened over here. She said, you're going to have to quit. I'm like, you sure? I said, all right, cool. Let's write up a 2-week. So in 2 weeks, I wrote up and I took it back to them in 2 hours. So went on vacation in Mexico. We came back and we went to it was a gym over in Signal Hills called No Limits. So what I did was I took my clients that I knew that I built those relations with that believed in me, because I had some clients that was just there who got sessions from other trainers that was there that wasn't too serious. And again, I'm like, I need clients that's going to believe in me earlier on. And I think this was probably like 2016, 17. And so we go over to the other gym and it's just me and Mike up in there. And we're training. We got this huge facility to ourselves. And
I saw those posts.
Yeah.
Along years ago. He was up in there pumping. He was getting it in. He was getting it in. We were getting a lot of good work in, right? So, and I'm like, damn, I'm like, all right, Mike, this is it. And I'm looking, this is what I'm saying to myself. And then, of course, like one of my friends was like, man, you have to create an Instagram page.
Yep.
you have to get on Instagram, man. Create an Instagram page. So I had a personal Instagram page, but I didn't have a business Instagram page. And as soon as I posted on this new business page, here one inquiry, here's another, and I'm like, okay, cool. I have to create a rhythm around what I'm doing. Okay, all right. I have to make sure I'm in the trenches. I have to get my work in. I have to be the walking billboard. And but for me, the biggest thing that kind of led me to training, one thing I wanted to do, I always want to help. You know, I was in it to help. But I was also in it for me. We'll be up in there, Mike working. I'm like, Mike, I'm gonna get some reps in with you right now if you don't mind. You know, to when now we became workout partners. At a particular point, we'll be pulling and pushing off of each other. And then I get an inquiry here, and I noticed that I started getting more women. Than guys. I'm like, the hell y'all up to?
We already know.
You know what I'm saying?
We already know.
I'm like, hold on, what's going on? You know, so
I think something interesting, like even at 24, like your clientele was probably more women there too. But I remember you had some really elderly. And I can't say this too harshly, but out of shape people. And it was like you adapted from me at the time, I was probably on the verge of an athlete, to the 60 something year. I can't remember her name, but like there was an older lady there that like she got it into, but she was much older and much slower pace and much lower weight.
Yeah. So there at 24, you couldn't pick and choose your clients.
Yeah.
You were like, okay, cool. I see a gap in the schedule. Here's a trainer. He's available. Go train with him.
So how you feel about that, Dominic? Like not being able to choose your clients, because like Omar can't pick his patients, and Jonathan can't pick his patients either, and you're dealing with them before they need this sort of stuff.
I thought it was pretty dope. You know what I mean? It was extremely interesting for me to have to kind of like, I'm like, all right, cool. We dealing with what? And I'm like, I'm having to go Google words that I've never known that I would have to learn. To have to deal with clients who have issues with bone density. I'm like, okay, cool, jump rope. You know, these are low impact exercises that we're going to have to do for you, because in my mind, I'm like, nope, I only want athletes. I only want athletic clients. And that's all that I wanted. But I was able to pick that later on. But at 24, it really challenged my my knowledge, where I had to really open up the books and really learn my clients, because every client was different at that point there. But I think that's what probably, that's what kind of shaped me leaving from 24. But once I got to being an entrepreneur and being able to pick my own niche, it made training, I'll say, a little bit more easy, because I was able to put 4 clients on an hour, another 3 clients the next hour, and another 4 clients in the next hour. So I'm working 8, 9, 10. I'm done with my morning, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm counting up the hours. I'm like, okay, cool. I got a huge gap in my day right here. I get to go home, get things situated, and I get to go back in. If I decided that's what I want to do, open up another hour in the PM, you know, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'll open up 1 or 2 more hours. I was able to kind of pick and choose my battles. You know, so that was a good thing. But if I can go back, I would probably spend more time with those the older clients, because one thing that I've noticed that they're more serious.
Well, it's a different drive, right?
It's definitely
hey,
different.
I want to get a 6-pack, or I want to get some biceps, versus I want to keep my blood pressure under control and keep mobility.
Longevity.
Absolutely. So we go from creating an actual plan from a client to where I have to really, really get the juices flowing and think about exercises, versus like, we want to just stretch, pull out the TRX, do a couple of squats, a couple bicep curls, and they feel good about themselves, you know? So, you know, that's the good thing.
Jonathan, same to you, Jonathan. You know, as far as your where you're at today, your profession as a nutritionist, dietitian, and I think you're a diabetes educator as well. Is that right?
I was a few years ago. I mean, I do educate on diabetes, but just not as in depth or thoroughly as I did before. Not certified.
So give us a day in the life, kind of like what's your service to all the people we're talking about, whether they be in Dominic's hands, whether they be in Omar's hands.
Yeah, well, to add on to Dominic, I mean, it's funny. As a professional, we get our natural high off of results from patients. We see them pushing, going the extra mile. oh man, we feel so good about ourselves. And it makes us want to do better, like way better. So I'm looking at him like he's like glowing right now, talking about his patients or his clients are doing better and better and better, and pushing themselves more. He started doing things along with you, right? Doing the extra push-ups. So for me as a dietitian, I did start off working with like a food service industry. It wasn't my thing. I was there for 8 months. It was hell. I had like 4 supervisor titles, underpaid, $17 an hour with no health benefits, but it was like through a meat grinder, right? It turned me into a more responsible. It shaped me to be a more grateful person.
Yeah.
Then that got me a job with a Texas Diabetes Institute. I work with patients with diabetes or who was pre-diabetic, and that was also rewarding in itself. And that's where I started learning more about the importance of our daily habits, our food, and also just looking for, what is this word I'm looking for? Motivation goes out the window. It's more like the reason to do something, right? You need to have your purpose, right? Because motivation comes and goes. It can be here right now. It can be gone the next second. And it comes down to, and we were all talking about this, and I was listening carefully, and you're saying that it's difficult to start a habit. I think what we need to start is empowering the person to believe that they can do it. Yeah. When they believe that they can do it, they will start doing it. They have to believe it, not their trainer, not their family members. They have to believe in themselves that they can. So what I tell some patients, and what I've done in the past before, is, okay, what's your vice, right? It's a chocolate bar. Okay. So I would say, get it. If it's in your hand, throw it in the trash can. Throw it on the floor, step on it. Just step on it. How does that make you feel? Yeah. That you're empowered, you're in control. You told yourself, no, I can't have it. So it's just giving you that self-control, that power that you can do it.
So, I need to do that with cinnamon toast crunch.
I got,
have you had the tres leches?
I haven't, but I'm telling you.
Have you guys seen Mike Tyson's podcast or any of his recent, like just the motivational stuff he puts out, and his definition of discipline, right? Doing the stuff that you hate to do, and like I think that's
like you love it.
Yeah, doing it like you love it. I think that's like awesome. Like, hey, let me toss this Coke.
So, keep going back to that. Another one I like from him is the one that says, "If you're a friend to everybody, you're an enemy to yourself."
That's right.
When I heard that, I was like, man, okay.
Yeah. So
I can't be a friend to everybody.
Right.
Right.
I think this is a relevant question to all of you. So you train to see results, you coach or educate to see results, you deliver care to see results, and this is something that you probably remember me saying when you went through the classes at the school, is that not everybody's going to get results. Not everybody's going to have a good prognosis or a good happy path, right?
Right.
You deal with a lot of patients who you coach, you find their lab results, you do analysis and assessment on them. You work with a lot of people who they come sign up, they never show up, or they don't follow the diet, or they don't give their full effort to 12 reps instead of I just do 10, right? That was my thing.
Like, just add more weight.
My body just stops at 10, right? That's the way we had to do it, because I wasn't going to stop at 10. So like, what do you do for yourself as a professional to, like, Jonathan, you were talking about keeping that purpose, right? Like, hey, there's a lot of people out there who want to be who you guys are, right? Whether it's coaching and guiding towards physical fitness and wellness, or that is coaching, getting a degree as a nutritionist and falling into as a renal dietitian, or a dietitian as a whole, falling as a dialysis technician. But you all know that it may be different for each of you, but 10 people that come to you for help, how many actually have the results that they want? And then how do you maintain that purpose, Jonathan, if you're not seeing 10 out of 10 with a good result? How do you maintain that resolve that, like, I'm doing what I'm qualified to do, but I'm called to do, I think is a big thing, because like, if we don't feel called or we don't feel that purpose, then we kind of fizzle out, right? And it's a job. Yeah. And I know you three, so I know it's not a job for any of you. So like, what do you do for that, guys? Omar?
For me, it's like, especially when you're like training, I try to train my replacement, because I know I can't do this job forever. there's younger kids coming in, younger girls that are coming in, and it's like, well, how do I get to where you are? I'm like, you have to find your purpose. Why are you here? For me, is I wanted to help you. Right? I didn't know how I was going to get there, but something I learned is, and I learned from having 4 kids is, I can't parent every child the same.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I can't take care of every patient the same.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And that's what I try to teach students. Like, every patient is going to require something different. And you need to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
And the sooner you figure that out, the better the technician you will be. But you have to find your reason why you're here. Mm-hmm. If you're just here for a paycheck, you're in the wrong profession.
Yeah.
Because these patients are vulnerable. A lot of them are scared.
Yeah.
100%.
Right. Even me as a new clinician, I was scared. They were scared. And the fact that seeing them, they're scared, even put more pressure on me. I was like, okay, am I in the right field? Because you're going to second guess it. You're going to question your purpose at the beginning of your career as a dialysis clinician. Because as much as training as Mike gave me at his school, he just gave me the tools. And now I had to go learn how to apply them.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my approach is, okay, you learned everything. Now I'm going to teach you how to apply them. The big issue right now is, and with these major dialysis providers is, they expect you to go like this.
Yeah.
Go from his school to the floor like that.
I just don't have time for there's not a lot of time for the learning curve and, how to apply things. I wish there was, to tell you the truth.
So something I learned from Mike and from his school and seeing him teach other students as well is, he fights their strengths, leaves it alone, and works on your deficiencies. So that's that's my approach to it. Everybody who comes in, okay, you're strong at this. Okay, let's not concentrate on that right now. Let's concentrate on these deficiencies, because this is where you're gonna grow the most.
Mm-hmm.
You already got this. Don't worry about that. Let's work on this.
Yeah,
and that's something that I learned from working with dietitians like Jonathan. Is like, a lot of them, there's some that always start off with the negative.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But the good ones always tell you, hey, I got your labs. This is good. This is good. This is good. Now we got to work on these.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when you flip that switch in that patient or that new technician, when you always start with their strengths.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And
that's why they go to sleep on you, huh, Jonathan? As they used to hearing the bad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I usually start with the good. And just as a dietitian, it's very, I know some dietitians, they just go in, give the lab results, don't even explain it sometimes.
Yeah, here's your report.
Because honestly, that's all we can do. I mean, we could do that. I don't do that. Because the patient's been there for years and they still ask me the same question. What does that mean, my phosphorus? Like, I've told them many times, I've educated them. This is the range for your phosphorus and your other labs. But they forget. Doesn't annoy me. Okay, fine. This is job security. I'm here to help them understand. Some of them understand, no problem. They get it. And then going based off of your question, which was, how do I feel about patients who don't give the results that I want, right? It's just finding another tactical approach to them, because these dialysis patients, they choose to survive through pain, because, dialysis is not a painless way to live. It's just 2 big needles or cramping on dialysis. They're choosing to survive in a very harsh manner, but they want to survive. They want to live a little bit longer, to see their family, their friends, whatnot. And tactical approach would be, honestly, for me, is just finding what is working for them. So, and sometimes saying it one way doesn't work. Saying it a different way works. So I'm trying to think of a specific example. One was, most common one is tortillas. The corn tortillas versus flour tortillas. That's a staple in the Mexican culture. It's a staple. Not in all South America, but in Mexico and Guatemala, it's a staple. So I've told them, okay, well, you love corn tortillas, right? So why not just have fresh corn instead of corn tortillas? Because the corn dough to make the tortillas, that's a lot of corn cobs. You're having like
concentrate.
10 to 20 corn on the cob versus one.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
Yep.
So I changed my approach. Like try Esquitas, which is like
Just off the cob.
just off the cob with like a little bit like seasoning, and try that, and it works.
Yeah.
But that works for some patients.
So Jonathan, what's your page called again for Instagram? Because like I gotta say, like
Right.
I found
His YouTube
Jonathan.
is
I made
awesome.
friends with Jonathan because I was seeing his things pop up because it's behavioral, right? It's behavioral. Like I'm in dialysis. I was seeing him pop up, and then he had this cool video that was like of preparation of ceviche, Peruvian ceviche, which I'm Peruvian, so I was like, oh, yeah, it's like my mouth's watering, right? And so, what's the channel called, and like what's the intent of that channel?
Yeah. So I started my channel back in 2021 during the COVID, and it's dialysis approved.
Dialysis approved.
Dialysis approved is the name of my channel, and that stemmed from the very same question you asked, which is, what am I going to do with patients who don't give me the results I want? And there's a common problem
Another approach.
Another approach, take it online. There's some patients that don't want help. Fine, let me go beyond the four walls and reach the larger community, whether it's the United States or outside other countries, which I have noticed on the YouTube metrics, YouTube studios. There's North America, Mexico, the Philippines, India. I think Spain's in there. Those who are watching my stuff constantly. So
And I think what has made you successful. And then I use your page a lot for some of my patients.
Thank you.
Because I always be like, okay, because Latinos, we always interact with somebody like us.
That's right.
Right.
That's the only way
Yeah.
to get to Latino culture
Yeah,
is through it.
it's like to somebody
Yeah.
who's doing, somebody who looks like me
Yeah.
is going to get me to where I want to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
You got any healthy barbecue on that?
I do.
Bet.
It's on there. No, yeah. It's funny. I can't say this patient's name, but I did give him the recipe. I gave it to his wife, and he loved it. It's a barbecue. That's just like, it's a pork barbecue. There's also beef, but I haven't tried the beef ribs yet.
Jonathan, you have to give us the link to it so that we can.
Oh, well.
Now that we mentioned it, right?
Yeah.
We gotta look up the barbecue and link this to this.
Yeah, I will.
This episode, okay?
Actually, I even have the barbecue sauce for it. It's another video for that very same one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's finger licking good. I had it for
I'm getting hungry. Yeah.
right, Thanksgiving with family, and I gave them, again, it's the recipe for my channel. So it's a low sodium, low phosphorus, low potassium. Specifically those for dialysis, but the low sodium is beneficial for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had 3 racks of ribs gone. They wanted seconds. It was gone. So it is possible to have something delicious. It's just I'm putting the extra effort to make it good and healthy. For someone who doesn't know anything about sodium, they're not gonna sit there, go online, study. Okay, how much sodium should I put in this meat? No one's gonna do that.
Yeah,
so I'm putting that work out there for them.
Jonathan, I think we should definitely have a whole nother episode just talking about that. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things around diet today. The plate method, which is kind of for everybody, right? And then when we talk specifically about dialysis patients, which I'll just kind of plant the seed now so that everybody becomes interested in hearing about the same as that. What you eat, right? When you talk about vegan, vegetarian diets, which I think in general society are perceived as healthier diets, and then you talk about a person who has chronic illness like end stage renal disease, it becomes a lot more challenging to have a vegan diet, but not to discount the benefits of some of the beautiful nutrients that come through plants and fruits and vegetables, right?
Yeah.
Dominic, same question to you, and then I want to hit on this question, and then lastly, just one last question for you all to sign off on. But the client that's not getting results, and I think specifically to you, there's the easy one that's like, this person's not showing up.
Yeah.
So that's discouraging.
Yeah.
This person's not pushing themselves. That's discouraging. This person's not following the diet. That's discouraging. But do you ever have the person that's actually doing all that?
I do.
And then doesn't have the results that they're looking for?
I do. I think that when it comes down to is that some people are just not satisfied with self all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if it's one goal, then it's the next goal. It's like, okay, cool. I hit this goal here. What's the next goal? But one thing I like to do is I like to make fitness challenges. right? So we'll all come together. All right, this is your goal. Your goal is transformation. Your goal is to drop body fat. Your goal is to gain muscle mass. So not everybody is there to lose fat or from one versus the next. So we'll take our pictures, bam, bam, bam. The winner gets a free package, whether if it's $350, $450, or $550. It's encouraging and it's motivating. But for the most part, I think that when the client is there, they're consistent, and when they understand the assignment, when they have integrity, not only in the gym but also outside of the gym. Because the thing is that I don't know what the heck you guys are doing when you guys are away from the gym.
Yeah.
But I'm a nosy trainer. I see the Instagram. I see.
It does.
I'm nosy.
So you follow.
They were just.
Oh, yeah, they follow me. So hide me from your stories if you don't want me to see. So, but in and out of the gym, I think it's extremely important to make sure that, you guys, for one, you invest in money. You invest in money. And I think that, again, it can't just be I'm investing money and my lifestyle is totally different. When you invest the money, I need to know that you're serious about what you're doing, because if you're just paying me the money and your lifestyle is what it is, and then I have clients that see what you're doing, it's a bad reflection on me.
Yeah.
That's not the client that I want. Like, save the money, give it to someone. I'd rather train you for free. And it's really like that. But for the most part, I think if everyone just stays consistent with the movement, like I mentioned, also outside of the gym, like, find your way over to a 24-hour fitness, a LA Fitness. Don't only come and work out with me just 2 or 3 days a week.
Yeah.
I need to know that you're in the gym
On your own.
On your own.
Yeah.
That's when we're really seeing the results. It's not just the 2 to 3 days a week, because that's only 2 hours.
Right.
That's just 3 hours. Now, we're not talking about 24 hours in a day. Now we're talking about 24-hour times 2, times 3, or times 7. That's a lot of time that we're not getting in that physical work. But it requires that. It requires a lot of effort. But for the most part, for all of my serious clients who are there, that's putting in the work, they getting results. Now, if the result is just, I need to be better mental, those are the hardest results to get. Those are harder than getting the results for losing the body fat or gaining the muscle mass. You know what I mean? So it really depends on what the results that they're looking for and the goals that they're looking for. But like I said, for me, I see every client as individuals. Is one thing that you said. You have to make sure that you see them all. You can't treat them all the same. Even though when they come in as clients, and they all end up as my brothers and my sisters. And I love overclaiming. I take it to heart, but there's a job to be done, so I don't get too personal with clients, because it needs to, we're here for a task. We're serious. Put your phones away. Let's get to the work, because someone's going to reach out to you. I want someone to ask you, man, who's your trainer? Through the results that you're getting, because I only work on a referral basis. I don't do the post where it's kind of like, hey, yo, I have slots available, 10 slots available, and I'm lying and kind of throwing it out there. No, I want a client to tell the next client, because when they come to me, it's an easy transition, because the barriers of the price are dropped, the relationship barriers are kind of dropped, and it's an even exchange, or an easier exchange, from, Mike recommending someone, versus...
That's business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about a new employee, a business that you're going to do, some business to business, or you're going to buy some services from, a recommendation goes a lot further than an ad, right? And
Absolutely.
Just speaking to give some credit here, like I trusted Dom with my own family. He's worked with my own family, several of my children in training, myself, my wife included.
And even after Camila came in,
she brought more friends.
It was maybe I've trained probably after training Mike, it's probably been, again, I've trained Kat. Mason got some work in with us.
My little boy.
Mason got some work in.
Yeah.
Like I said, I trained both his daughters. But when Camila came in and recommended her friends, like, again, it was an easy exchange for them to come in and trust it. You can't trust all trainers.
Yeah.
Some trainers are creeps. You know, so again, like when I'm doing my consultation, I need to know that you're serious. They're gonna know my testimony. They're gonna know, yep, absolutely, I have children.
Yeah.
I have a wife.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, this is what the next steps for you. You know,
The whole
what I mean?
orientation.
The whole orientation. No, it's a fair exchange. You know, it's about being transparent and them understanding that they have the best value. You know, in back.
Yeah, guys, I really appreciate your time joining me tonight. I want to segue into just the last question, and kind of speak on this a little bit. So just kind of hearing, I think the last question really resonated with me to give my 2 cents on, you know, I've worked with people over the years that, including personal family, right? I started doing dialysis when I was 15 years old, but was exposed from really childbirth to a person that was on dialysis at home, ended up helping him. And I saw one person from the time I was, you know, born until when I entered the profession, which was in 2000. So I was 23 when I entered as a dialysis tech, right? And right away, you know, my purpose or my calling was like, I want to help people. It resonates with me, the disease that these people are going through and the demographic. I always worked in urban areas. So it clung on really nicely, but I'll tell you, there was a point where I realized, like, oh my God, like all the people I'm helping are getting sicker. Every day I treat them, they go out sometimes feeling worse than they did when they came in. And progressively they lose weight and they get an infection, and then they never rebound 100%, right? One day they get a pressure ulcer on their foot and they lose their legs, or they start to go blind, or they had some kidney function and they lost it all now. They had a job when they came in, and they feel so bad now that they lost their job. They were married, but they lost their job, so now their wife left. It's stuff like this, right? It became very humbling to realize that, like, I'm here and I'm giving my all, and I want to go home and feel good about what I do, but sometimes I go home, like you said, Omar, and it's all in my head, right? And at some point in my life, I realized, and it was, you know, with the help of people, right? Like intersubjectivity, right? Like talking with people about their plight in life and their perspectives on life. And like Jonathan, I noticed that a lot of people that suffer chronic kidney disease are much stronger than those who have nothing wrong with them, right? And I met a lady named Lori Hartwell. I don't know if you guys know Lori Hartwell, but she has a group called Renal Support Network. And she always says it's that chronic illness is too hard to deal with without hope, right? And this is a lonely condition, by the way, compared to like cancer. Like cancer kind of brings families together a lot of times, but chronic kidney disease often tears them apart and they end up isolated, right? So one thing I finally realized was that, like, if I don't have a story of victory, like, how can I speak with conviction that things can be better? Does that make sense? So for me, if I were to leave today's episode, this conversation, and say, what's my key message for people who are trying to help people with physical fitness, mental wellness, emotional wellness, you know, the whole physical preventative side of it, or dealing with people who are pre-diabetic or hypertensive or have end-stage kidney disease, right? That I would say, like, you better find some stories now, right? So if I were to speak to you all, like, let's find some stories. And if I were to speak to anybody who's watching this episode, I would say, let's find some stories. If you don't have the stories, if you can't find them, steal them. There are plenty of people who will tell their stories to us, right? And you've met some of them, Omar. I mean, there's guys like Sam Trevino, right? Shad Ireland, David Rush, Lori Hartwell. These are all people who have suffered end stage something and have surpassed life, surpassed the accomplishments that they were expected to have. My uncle being one of them, who when he was 22 years old had kidney failure and was told, you'll never have a child or a normal life. He had a child. He adopted a second one. He was the main father figure in my life for quite a bit of time. So again, like, my message for today would be that, you know, in the fight to help people in their journey towards wellness or rehabilitation or the way they want to look or the avoidance or management of or prevention of complication now, right, in your world would be to find a story that keeps you moving. You know what I mean? There's somebody out there who has got to where you want to be, right? Somebody that can motivate you, somebody that can say that it is possible to, I don't know, maintain a job, to have a six pack, to, I got to, by the way, off topic, but I got to say one thing about Dominic's clients, right? Even my wife noticed this. We went to his 40th birthday party recently, and she said, "Oh, that girl has no cellulite." Sorry, guys, but get this, right?
Okay.
She's a very healthy person. She's not sticking bones. So even the girl standing next to her who was sticking bones had cellulite. You probably know who I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say her name on, but one of his clients is a healthy person. You know, healthy weight. I'll say thick, right? So find that success story. Maybe that's the success story, right? Like you want to stay thick, but you don't want the nuances of thickness, right? So I'd ask you guys the same. If we leave today, while we leave today, what are the messages from you as a dialysis technician and a coordinator of people who are coming into the profession, people who also who are already in the profession that need management over different sort of initiatives within organizations, you as a nutritionist, dietitian, you as a personal trainer, athlete, what's the message that is going to help people today in relation to the subject matters that we've discussed, mental, physical, nutritional, prevention, all that sort of stuff?
For me, something that I kind of read a while back was, you got to look at yourself like a pencil. Every once in a while, you're going to have to sharpen yourself up to create that fine point, to make yourself useful again. But the most important part of the pencil is what? What's inside. Right? And the pencil has what? An eraser to correct your past mistakes. Right? So that's something that I always take away. It's like, I'm not going to let my failures be my sentence. Right? Because all I'm going to do is grow. Right? And for me, it's something that motivates me is me in the next 10 years, right? Something I learned from Matthew McConaughey. He goes, my hero is me 10 years from now.
I saw that.
And I'm never going to reach that person, but it gives me somebody to chase.
Yep. Jonathan.
For me would be, I guess, two populations. Those who are in the end-stage renal disease, who have, they're chronic, they're waiting for their kidney. So my advice for those who are on dialysis, take the medication. Take your medications and try your best to make some small dietary changes. Just one a month. Just one little change a month. That can most likely put you on that list of transplant. A lot of these patients want to be transplanted. Those little changes make a difference. It really does.
Yeah.
And I love it when I see patients get transplanted. They get the news that they got transplanted, they don't come back. They come back. If they do, it's because they're grateful. They come back to say thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I've had patients that we have to say stop coming.
Yeah.
For dialysis center. Yeah, because they're used to coming there every day, right?
It's the family.
And it's like, I got a transplant, but I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just my tip for them is please do it. Just think of the long term in 10 years, because sadly in California, 10 years is the wait for a kidney transplant.
Yep.
And short in other states. And those who are not on dialysis, find your purpose. Like we discussed, find your purpose. What can help you prevent you to getting to that point where you have diabetes or the kidney damage? Because kidney damage is permanent. It's permanent. After the age of 40, we start losing kidney function. Yep. Even no matter how healthy we are, we start losing it. That's called aging. Yeah. So it's more of just finding the purpose and remembering you're working towards that purpose. So for those, if you want to lose weight, perfect. If you want to lower your cholesterol, go for it. Find professionals to help you get to that goal. It's in this YouTube. There's tons of useful resources online.
Yep.
Just find your purpose and chase it, and do what you can to get it. So that's my message for everybody. And then of course invest in your health.
That really resonates. And I mentioned Lori Hartwell. chronic illness too hard to deal with without hope, right? It's something that as a dialysis tech, as administrator, running dialysis facilities or healthcare organizations, it's something I've always advised students and employees to find out what their patient's hope is. And you're saying purpose, but it's like, hey, why do I care about diabetes? Because I want to see my kid graduate high school. I want to see my grandchildren graduate high school. I want to finish my book. I want to finish my purpose, which is to educate people and improve care. I want to, enjoy 3 more months.
Yeah.
In some cases with my spouse, the person I love the most, or the children, whatever it might be. Right. So without knowing that hope, like how can we really help an individual? Right. Like we have to have that carrot in our hand as well, kind of going like, hey, here it is. Keep reaching for that carrot. Yeah. Dominic, right. Same question.
So I was listening to this song today, and it was and I've literally listened to it probably close to about like 10 times. And in the chorus it says, it's like, if I had everything, I can change anything. And if I can change anything, I would change everything. Right. And there was just something about that. It was just really, 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 really deep. And it just kind of like dug deep into my mind and into my spirit, is that we have the power to change literally anything.
Yeah.
And I treat life and I look at everything as like a light switch. Turn it on, you can turn it off. You can turn it on, leave it on, turn it off, and leave it off. But you absolutely have the power to change anything that you're going through. And I'm a big believer, if you see something, say something. You see somebody that need help because they don't have the right consistent diets, or they're eating unhealthy, and you see the way that they're trending in directions, say something. And if saying something to that person and you can't get through, go tell somebody else. Somebody else that probably have the power to change the way that they're thinking. So I just like to tell people to stay encouraged, stay blessed, have fun while being your best. The one thing you mentioned earlier was empowering people. I think it's extremely important. I'm empowered right now. I thank you guys, Mike, for allowing me to be here.
Thank you.
For you guys sharing these stories. I learned so much, and I have a job to do and a task to do. And for me, I'm thinking like I want to open up my pipeline not to 20 through 40-year-old women. I want to open up my pipeline to now 40, 60-year-old individuals, men and women, to see if there's any way that I can change something, because I believe I have the power to change it, and just to kind of create that accountability. But change is everything. We can do it. We have the power to do it. We just have to apply the pressure.
And that all of these last thoughts were really great. Kind of thinking about the molding of business. I would hope that all of us would continue to keep our communications, but then also connect the dots between those that we don't know. And I'm inspired to hear that there's the upstream, there's the downstream, right? And the upstream is like prevent it from happening, keep healthy, and the downstream is to deal with it when we run into the circumstance, right? So I would hope that conversations like this would encourage others to do the same. Because one thing I've noticed in my profession, our profession, is that we tend to talk to dialysis people. And then when you were just speaking, I thought that, like, hey, personal training is like a really sexy profession. It can be, right? Like, hey, I used to work out with you, so I know. Like, it's like, like it's fun. Like, I used to want to go certain times. Certain times, right?
I go to the gym. I know what you're talking about.
I was like, I knew exactly what his schedule was like. So it's like, I want to go at 12, man. Like, because it can be, like I said, it can be a really physically attractive profession, even, right? But then, like, something that came to me when in thinking about, like, when you're talking about sustainability of a business, and then you're talking about I want a 6-pack, I want to fit in my wedding dress, versus I want to keep myself from getting that diabetes that I have pre-diabetes for.
Yeah.
And I feel like monetization comes in different ways, but going home at night and the way you feel about it is one of them, right? Your pocketbook is another way. And I feel like what you just said, that 40 to 60, that's a real commodity as far as like sustainable business, but also going home at night knowing that like I help somebody actually stay alive for their daughter's wedding, their grandchildren's graduation, the fulfillment of their book or their degree or whatever, finish their song, whatever it is, right? So I just hope that the four of us, and as we build this community, that we could keep the same sort of contact. And I think we've planted a seed with Dominic on the upstream side to say like, hey, there's a new way to think about your clientele.
100%.
You know, and we've talked a little bit about demographics and disparities and things like that. And you can think about that as well. And then vice versa. We don't think much about their physical fitness. You know, I remember there's a time in dialysis where we had patients exercising during the treatment, and that kind of went out with the woodworks because nobody's willing to do it. Just not enough resources to have anybody champion.
Start off on a walker, go to a wheelchair, go to a stretcher.
But we can continue to, I guess, delay the progression if we were thinking more about this side still, right? Like people exercising, movement, mobility, things like this. So again, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. And you have an open invitation. We'll be getting together probably weekly, bi-weekly, and would love to have you guys here again. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
So,
Thanks, guys.
thank you.
This episode has been brought to you by Dialysis Education Services.